Bob Scarff, you are MD of Callwell. It's a prop tech solution for estate agents. Tell me a bit about it and why agents need to listen to you and what it does for them. Because let's be frank, there's plenty of prop tech solutions there out there that are creating solutions where they're not problems. So tell me about it. Talk to me.
I think you've hit a very important nail on the head there. A lot of businesses that are out there with solutions, our technical solutions, are solutions for problems that just don't exist. When I first left Countrywide in 2015,
Because you were MD of just about the whole country,
yeah,
800 branches, 6,000 people. So you've been there, done it, seen it,
yeah,
and risen through the ranks
and
as well.
worked in the industry for the best part of 40 years. So yes, when I left there, I was inundated literally with people wanting to talk to me. At the time, I thought that was because I'm a high-profile character and charismatic and all the rest of it. I very quickly worked out they saw me as somebody that could give them some money. I'm glad I didn't. These people had, for the most part, I wasn't even calling them prop tech at the time because that was a word that still hadn't entered my lexicon. They were showing me things that would solve a problem, and every time I'd think, well, hang on, that problem just doesn't exist. And nearly every time it boiled down to they had had an experience themselves of dealing with an estate agent that they didn't enjoy, so that therefore they saw that as a problem, and this is now the technical solution to that problem. But of course, from the agent's perspective, that's what you experienced is what you experience in UK property conveyancing. So get used to it, and it's not really a problem. So for me, one of the reasons for getting involved in Callwell, which I got involved in at the beginning of 2016, was exactly that. It wasn't just a solution to something that didn't exist. It absolutely was a solution to a problem that had afflicted me for the previous 20 years, or ever since emails first started arriving.
So what is the problem that Callwell sorts?
Right, so most agents would agree that if somebody walks in or if somebody phones up, their staff are pretty good at dealing with the customer straight away. There'll be exceptions, of course, but generally they're very good at it. But emails have always suffered from somehow not being as important. Now, maybe in 96, 97, when emails first started appearing, maybe they were the last refuge of the tyre kicker. They weren't serious people, they were nosy neighbours, and maybe they could afford to be ignored. These were the days where there wasn't a computer on every desk. The best that you could do was print off the emails, put them in a tray to be dealt with the next day. It's also fair to say that for the most part in those days, viewing requests didn't come in by email. It was normally requests for more information. Valuation requests definitely didn't come in by email. Somewhere in the last 20 odd years that's changed, and much more email traffic comes in. People's expectations of how you deal with it have changed, and the content of those emails have also changed. So the frustration, and it wasn't much more than a frustration, of late 90s, early 2000s, when agents were just not dealing with emails properly, has grown to being a real money wasting problem now, where these are real customers with real requirements that are just being ignored. So what Callwell does is pick up all of those emails from any designated source. It displays the email to the people in the branch in a completely different fashion. So it's not in their inbox along with everything else. It's displayed completely separately, and it makes the phone ring. So within seconds of the email arriving, so somebody emails in from Rightmove, I'd like to view this house, please. It arrives within seconds. The phone is ringing, and when the member of staff in the branch picks the phone up, they hear a recorded message that says, "You have a Callwell lead from a Mr. Watkin. Press 1 to talk to him now." And if they don't want to talk to you, then they just put the phone down and the customer knows no different.
Do we know if this is a valuation lead, a viewing lead, a tenant lead, or is it just anything that's come off the portal?
If you look on the dashboard, if you look on the inquiry screen, you see all of that. So whatever they have put in their inquiry gets faithfully repeated in what we display. So if it's a valuation lead,
So the ring, does the neg then have to open up the Callwell app on the computer?
it's all there.
So it just comes up on the screen?
So the whole point of the phone call is that you can then just listen to that recorded message for a few minutes.
And it pops up on the screen?
Whilst you have to look for it. That's why it says its name. So you go looking for Mr. Watkin and you find it. Now, just digressing completely for a second, what's fascinating is how few emails most agents' branches get each day. People say to me, "Oh, we couldn't possibly have a system like this because the phone would be ringing all the time." We get hundreds and hundreds of emails. No, you don't. The average across the country is 4. So from we've got all sorts of shapes and sizes of customer, and the average number of email inquiries received per working day is 4. 2 of which are during the day, and 2 of which are overnight. So actually, on average, in a day, there's 2
Yes.
Mr. Watkinses that need a phone call. Anyway, it's displayed there on the screen. You can open up the inquiry. You're still listening to the recorded message saying, press 1 to talk to Mr. Watkin. You can read all about him, her, find out what they want, and then press 1 and know you're talking to them. So if you are in the middle of something else, and it is only somebody wanting details, you might decide, really, to put the phone down, not speak to them straight away, finish what you're doing, then go back to Callwell, press call now, and now you're ringing them. Whereas if it's a valuation request or a viewing request, you might deal with it straight away because that's actually more important than the thing that you're dealing with. But in the background, irrespective of what it does for the individual member of staff, it also gives invaluable management information to the business owner as to who's doing what. So most of our branch managers will have our inquiry screen set to unsuccessful call, so it's only displaying to them the customers who haven't yet been spoken to, and that's invaluable because they can see that this is like a workflow system now. These are all people who have emailed in and we haven't yet had a proper phone conversation with them. Now they might look at it and see that we've tried to get hold of them and the person didn't answer, so that's understandable and we're going to keep trying. That doesn't take it off the list though, because until we've actually had a successful call with them, it's going to stay on the list.
Would it actually say that they've been tried?
Yes.
Okay.
So
by the name of the person?
Yes. Depending on, some phone systems don't pick up the individual login, but that's a tiny minority of customers. The vast majority of customers, once the lead has been claimed by somebody, their name will be shown.
Is there a direct correlation between how quickly you ring someone and the success of getting the business?
I'm sure there's evidence out there somewhere, but I'm choosing to just follow my natural instinct, which is that in this modern day and age particularly, if I email, whether it's ordering a pizza, ordering a taxi, trying to find a plumber, whatever it is, I'm expecting to get something quickly. Now, an email back would be better than nothing, but what I'm really hoping for is a phone call.
Well, if someone's put their number in the machine, you'd kind of expect a phone call, wouldn't you?
And I think particularly around, we've done some work around the valuation inquiries specifically, because even if an agent somewhere could convince me that actually they don't need to talk to everybody that quickly, surely not with a valuation lead. This is someone who's asked you to come and look at their house, and if it's come in through a local valuation alert through Rightmove, then they'll have asked up to 4 other agents as well. So common sense suggests that ringing them quickly.
Because I know we're going to talk about that in another video.
But on that evidence point, what I can tell you is that one of our customers in London is now reporting an over 50% conversion rate of leads into appointments.
So is that Rightmove valuation alerts?
This is specifically Zoopla, as it happens.
Okay.
Zoopla valuation booster.
50% is amazing.
Well, is it? This is 50% of...
It's better than what most people are
Well,
getting.
no, I agree with that, absolutely. But I think it proves my point that the quicker your question was, what proof do you have that by talking to people quickly it's going to get you a better result? Well, that's the beginnings of that.
Well, you're
proof.
more like if they're clicking 4, which is the Rightmove number. If you're number 4, the chances of you getting the val are a lot less than number 1.
Yeah.
So surely there's a direct correlation. I've talked myself into it. the quicker you ring, the more chance you'll get a val.
Yeah.
Especially if your scripts are okay.
Yeah. And indeed, one of our options that we've got on Callwell is exactly that, a script. So when your call is in progress, you as our customer, the business owner, you can have a script appear on screen of the things that you want them to cover to make sure your member of staff covers with that customer.
It sounds very simple.
It is.
Effective.
It is, very.
So why isn't everyone using it?
Two reasons. Those that are two reasons why the people aren't using it. I'm going to say three reasons because obviously there's a big group of people that are using it. The main reason why I can't get to talk to enough people about it is that there's just this prop tech barrier that just goes up. Here's Bob, the latest ex-estate agent with something that's going to change my life, and I just can't get through to people. Now, to be fair, we're not really aiming at the single branch business because that's just not our sweet spot. Our sweet spot is a customer with probably 10 plus branches. People like Thomas Morris, for example, people like Farrell Hayworth, people who take customer service just that little bit more seriously. That's not to say that single branch agents don't, but we're not really set up to deal with single branch.
If a single branch agent watching this does want it, would you deal with him?
Yes, we would, but there's a minimum charge which might put them off.
Okay.
Now I'm going to say something that's potentially dangerous here, so I'm being very careful. As a general rule, in the very, very small businesses, they probably don't need Callwell because the business owner is in the branch themselves, picking up the phone, dealing with emails, and she or he is leading by example. In fact, they may well be, in some of those cases, they are the only person that is in the branch. Now, if you are the business owner and you're working in your branch and you are not dealing with your emails properly, there's nothing I can do to help you. If you have that attitude, tough. You're just never going to be that successful in a state agency.
I agree.
So there's an element of that in it as well. But it's more about, for us, just simply the economies of scale. It's easier for us to deal with the bigger customers than it is the smaller customers. And that's a lesson I learned from Ben Quiney at Audio Agent all those years ago, where he actively wasn't pursuing anybody but the big 6 or 7 companies, and I never completely understood it why at the time. I now get that completely.
Okay.
He was absolutely right to do so. But back to your question, that what it does is applicable to all types of customers, just that we're not concentrating on all types of customers right now.
Is there anything else you want to say about Callwell?
If you want to know whether or not Callwell is for you, then there's 3 simple questions that you can ask yourself. The first question is, if you don't really think that answering emails is that important, you do subscribe to the view that if they were that serious, they'd ring up. You're still thinking that the world is as it was 15, 20 years ago, then don't talk to us. Let's talk about something else, because we'd both be wasting each other's time. The second question is, if you think it is important, but you've never actually set down a standard for your people as to what's acceptable, is an hour acceptable, is 5 minutes acceptable, is the same day acceptable, then set yourself a standard and then come and talk to us, because then we can help you achieve those standards. And the third question is, if you do believe that they're important, you have set yourself standards, and actually you regularly check your branch or branches to make sure that you're adhering to that standard. Because frankly, if the answer is yes to all 3 questions, then well done. You don't need Callwell, because you're doing it perfectly well on your own. But most customers I talk to answer yes to the first question and the second question, but can't honestly say yes to the third question.
Bob's not paid me a penny to do this video. He's come up from Milton Keynes today to have a chat about various different things, and I wanted to ask him specifically about Callwell. Like I said, he's not paid me any money or give me any consideration, but I wanted to ask him about his product and what it offered estate agents, and from that I just wanted to say that's the case. So thank you, Bob, for your time and efforts, and I hope everyone watches the other videos in this series. We're talking about your life in general, Countrywide, how estate agents are very good at chasing their leads, and other interesting stuff about the industry. Thank you very much.